Parasite Eve, as a series, is fucking insane. It's a body horror masterpiece filled with enough detail and science you think it was originally created by a scientist itself. Oh. Well, that makes sense. So, very quick history lesson. The series began as a novel, written by Hideki Senna, PhD in pharmacology, a very smart guy. So, the science thrown into the story, stretched for entertainment value, is still accurately portrayed, and adds a lot to the feel of the book. It was received well, and 2 years later, a film adaptation, directed by Masayuki Uchiha, was released. The whole thing's on YouTube if you're interested. It's subtitled, so you're not going to have any problem understanding it. I would recommend it. It's a really good film. So, the game. Square only spent 2 years on this thing, pre-planning included. It was directed by Takashi Tokita? Oh, I'm gonna butcher these pronunciations. Dude's been at Square for 40 years. And produced by... this gentleman. The creator of Final Fantasy. It was Square's first M-rated game, and also its first survival horror RPG, which isn't exactly a genre that I would say is super popular. I can't think of very many games that would fill that niche. The only one that comes to the top of my mind would be Kudelka. The mix of turn-based combat, item management, real-time movement during combat, the real-life weapons, makes it stand out among Square's catalog of fantasy-driven stuff. Don't get me wrong, this is still a Square RPG. You're still gonna walk into some silly shit. But it's much more based in reality. It does a much better job explaining the things away. The game came out in Japan March 29th, 1998, and in North America, September 9th, 1998. The review assholes at the time gave it fantastic scores, but also gave it shit for being too linear. Whatever. I think it's a game that any fan of horror should go through at least once. We're gonna go over the whole game. Some fun stuff, some bitchin', it's gonna be a good time. We open up Christmas Eve, 97, New York City. Opening cutscene shows off that Square were kings of CGI back in the 90s. These still look dope to this day. We step out of a limo, dressed for a night on the town. We are Aya Brea, 25-year-old NYPD detective, out for a night at the opera. Well, fuck. Well, that escalated quickly. Aya jumps straight into action, knocking this tool bag out of the way, and here we see one of Aya's best character traits. This girl does not fuck around. She heads straight to the stage to go take care of business. The battle system is a fun mix of turn-based and real-time combat. Your turn and enemy turns are all running on a timer, and at all times you can move freely around the field to avoid attacks or position for your own. And you can also change equipment during your turns, just adding one extra wrinkle of strategy to these fights. This is still an RPG, so when a fight is finished, you are rewarded in the typical RPG fashion. Items, experience, yada yada yada. Level ups are a pretty basic affair, other than for every level, you receive bonus points. These things can be spent on stat buffs for you or your equipment. It's not a perfect system. It can inherently break the game if you know what you're doing, but I do appreciate it. All of these pieces mixed together does make for a pretty fun and inherently in-depth system, which is good because this is a significant chunk of the game. After confronting Miss Pyrotechnics, she gives us some vague shit about cells and communication. Okay, we're 5 minutes in and I'm already lost. We follow her backstage and jump into an obviously suspicious hole in the ground. And start hallucinating immediately. So I've done glasswork in New York City, and I can say this is an accurate New York rat. Okay, so whatever the fuck is going on, it's lighting people on fire, turning rats into fireball-throwing murder machines. Joy. And the fucking parrot, too. During our search, we find the diary of the floating actress. Lady's name is Melissa. Seems she's been having issues blacking out lately. Taking meds to help with some other issue. Looks like she has a concert tomorrow night in Central Park. We probably shouldn't forget that. Grab that key. Also, we need to keep exploring. Don't ever forget to explore everything. The survival horror aspects start showing themselves here. The area has multiple locked doors, and extra exploration will almost always lead to hidden items, powerful equipment. However, you're still going to have to weigh that over what you have in your inventory already. Are you going to be able to afford to be able to use this equipment? Are you going to be able to afford the ammo usage or the medicine usage to try to get this equipment anyways? It's not the original Resident Evil in terms of difficulty and potentially screwing yourself over, but the potential is still here. The fact that the effort was put in at all, I do appreciate. We catch back up with the actress, and she's having an argument with herself. Ah, fuck. Well, looks like the scary one finished the argument. Mitochondria being free. Okay, look, I don't have time for this now. It's not lesson time yet. Let's kick her ass. And yet another hole. Alright, fuck it, let's go. Sewer is full of fights and goodies. We catch back up to the floating nightmare. Her name is Eve. Yep. The fact that she knows who we are is slightly unnerving. The only interactions we've had with this bitch are putting rounds in her. In typical bad guy fashion, she taunts us and fucks off. Classic. Is that a fucking gator? Huh. I guess those aren't myths after all. Well, that's fine. We could always use a nice new... Where was he keeping that vest? Back outside, we're being haggled by this chode trying to get info from us about what the hell just happened when we're rescued by our main man, our partner, Daniel Dawes. Look at that mustache. It's majestic. Saves us from the paparazzi, and so ends day 1 of 6. Day 2 starts on a whole different note, though. We start out at work. NYPD Precinct 17. Giving our report, doing our work stuff. We hit the armory, and we're introduced to the weapon customization. Weapon customization is simple and complicated at the same time. Every weapon has a set amount of slots that can be expanded to with the use of permits from the boss or trading cards that we can find later. We can use a tool to take a status or parameters from one weapon to another at the cost of the weapon that we're stripping. Unless you use a super tool. Then we can keep the weapon we're stripping. You can use it to build some dumb shit this way. I call her Peaches. We leave the armory and we meet Ben, Daniel's kid. Looking for his old man. We don't really have time for this, though. We got a press conference to cause a scene at. Told ya. In the boss's office. Oh, by the way, this is Baker, our boss. Chewing our asses for not following orders. We're getting new orders. Go to the Museum of Natural History and question a scientist researching mitochondria. Oh, shit. Alright, lesson time. Pay attention, assholes, because I'm not going to repeat myself. So, mitochondria are organelles. These things. Pronunciation is not my strong suit. They generate most of the energy produced that a cell would need, and it's stored in ATP. You remember the Krebs cycle? Yeah, this fucking thing. Mitochondria have their own chromosomes, their own DNA, and they're only inherited from your mother's side. Hey, are you paying attention? What the fuck are you looking at? No, bring that up here and show the rest of the class. God damn it, Kako. Dr. Clamp. totally doesn't give off bad guy vibes. He's here for the advanced pharmacology lesson that I am too dumb to give you. Smart guy, very willing to give up info, right up until he hears Eve's name. Then he clams up like a mobster. Well, fuck, see you later, asshole. Back to the precinct. We're let in on a concert going in at Central Park. Oh yeah, that thing. Turns out Ben and his mom are there. We should go help our man get his boy. Fuck. Looks like we're up. Central Park is a much bigger area to hunt through. More items to find, fights to have. The zoo animals have gotten out. We're fighting snakes, birds, monkeys. That's a fucking bear. We get to the concert hall too late to help anyone, but just in time for one of my favorite cutscenes. We need to get backstage, and there's that little girl again. I'm sensing a pattern. Eve flies and we give chase. More animal control throughout the park until we end up in a clear boss arena. We fight a group of giant worms. One thing I do like about the enemy design in this game is the basis in reality. I mean, sure, they're all mutants, but you can tell what they were before. Like in this case. Sure, they're all gigantic worms throwing spiked balls at me, but these were just earthworms before Eve came along. It's a really neat detail. After that ass whipping, we go straight into another fight with Eve. Round 3, bitch. This fight is a bit of a show. We're stuck on the back of an out-of-control carriage, pulled by a flaming stallion. That's badass. Eve questions why we don't know who she is, and then tries to play with our insides. Yeah, I've definitely had better nights. Back to Daniel. Benny shows up. The little dude came here with Mom, but left. He's a lucky bud. Mom left with the crowd. The concert was the last straw, and the city's evacuated. Daniel leaves Benny with a lady officer at the precinct and goes looking for Aya. No one had heard from her. No one saw the flaming horse charging through? Okay, sure. We move on to a scene where we see a dude trying to get through a checkpoint when a convenient weenie roast distracts everybody just long enough for him to slip by. He seems to know what's up. Aya wakes up in your average downtown studio apartment with the little dude from earlier hanging out. Daniel found him and Aya while he was out and about. Kunihiko Maeda, the scientist in blue. The man is here for the exposition dump that meshes everything nicely with the novel. And the game does a great job of giving the synopsis of the book here and how the game fits with it. The game fits as a sequel to it. And this part could have easily dropped the ball, but it does a great job of conveying the story with very little ambiguity. At this point, it's been a fucked up couple days for this poor girl. Aya kinda breaks down, worried that she's like Eve. And that's understandable. The chick is fighting fucking electric bears. She tells everybody to fuck off, and day 2 closes out. Day 3. How is this asshole not dead? Maeda is an endearing character. I'll give him that. The day begins with some breaking and entering. We need them guns. And we need to head to the museum after that. The scientist in blue had some tests he wanted to run. He extracted some stuff from our clothes. He was messing with the sleeping girl? Yo, dude, that's not cool. I don't give a fuck what your excuse is. You could have waited until she woke up. He shows us how Eve is doing her thing. And he shows Aya how she's doing her thing. Alright, lesson time again. This one's gonna be a bit quicker. So, the explanation we're given to why Aya is special in this case is a bastardized version of Dawkins' selfish gene theory. Her mitochondria had evolved, so Eve's could no longer wipe them out. Selfish preservation. That's it. Lesson over. Shit. Busted. Clamp walks in and starts interrogating everybody while they're in his lab. That's fair. Right up until Daniel finds Ben and his wife's name on the computer. Time for another awkward exit. Back to the precinct, I guess. I'm not sure what else we can... God damn it. Our place has been hit by Eve. We need to go find Ben. Before we go, Maeda gives us a good luck charm that does nothing but take up inventory space. Thanks, dude. Lots of casualties. Eve tore this place apart. The cop watching the kid tells us the dog he was playing with went berserk and ran off. Ben chased after it. Another officer tells us that Baker's looking for the kid. Fuck. We need to hunt through this place. Things are getting a bit tougher. We're getting hit with status ailments in here. Although there's more equipment, including the weapon I ended up using until I cleared the game. You're going to come across this room where you're going to get ambushed. Laugh at that joke. And go into the room that those assholes just jumped out of. Grab that key, go down to the basement, end of the hall, weapons storage. Here, I found the MP5K. By the end of the game, this thing is dumb. I love it. We hit the 3rd floor, and see that Ben caught up with the pup. So did Baker. This upset my editor. We need to get in there. This fight is a good difficulty spike. One of its attacks is an AoE that is ridiculously strong, and I am certain it is nearly impossible to avoid. There is another that is a beam with pretty good speed and tracking. You're gonna have a hard time avoiding it. Also, the arena is tiny. We put the poor pup down, and day 3 closes out. Slight sidetrack to talk about the music. The music was done by Yoko Shimomura. This lady is a legend. Been in the industry since 1988. The first thing you've probably heard of hers is probably from Street Fighter 2. She did all but 3 of the tracks, from what I understand. But because of the bullshit excuses and the way Capcom worked, she wasn't credited until way later. Credit your fucking artists. Period. I really like the music. It fits the tone well here. Day 4. Daniel is the big boss now. Baker needs some time off. We need to figure out what the fuck we're doing next, so we find the one dude with the answers. Maeda. First question he has for us. Is there a sperm bank or a hospital nearby? I don't like where this is heading. Eve is trying to pull round 2 of what happened in Japan. Off to St. Francis Hospital, here we go. We arrive, and Maeda takes yet another inventory slot from us. Thanks, bud. Entering the hospital, it's empty. No fights, no nothing. Huh. Well, to the elevators. Yep, that was a bad choice. Eve traps us down here and disables the power box. We need to fix it. Here, I do have a complaint. The SP items in the inventory system. Here in the hospital, you come across a few keys, and once we're done with them, Aya will discard them, a la Resident Evil. This is the only place she'll do this. Minus a few items in the game that we'll get to later, there's no reason for us to still be carrying around the keys from Carnegie or the zoo keys. They might as well be discarded. They obviously thought about this. What, just go give them to Wayne? That's bullshit. We find 3 fuses, play union electrician, and we get the other elevator running. Back upstairs, and the fights break out. Oh, Peaches. God, I love this thing. We save a doctor and a patient in one room, a nurse in another. A flashback shows that Aya's been here before. And her sister. The sister is brought up a couple times before, but the hospital really starts to hash that out. Dr. Lady gives us the info we need and head to take care of business. Okay, we start seeing some crazier shit upstairs. Why does this hospital have a research kennel? The hell is this place? More fighting, we get to our goal. Looks like a sample room. It's a fucking mess. We also find the patient records. Records of Aya's mom and sister. We also find records of Melissa before she was a floating creep show. And of course, in perfect video game fashion, the key to progress is also here. Inside yet another elevator, we're treated to a scene where the Navy sends jets into a nearly empty New York City. Up on the roof, we have the obligatory spider boss. He's a punk. Haste and just keep moving. Second phase is a bit more aggressive. Smaller arena. Pump 'em full of lead. The extra large phobia falls through the roof. And we confront the existential crisis yet again. But at least we know her plan. Another one of my favorite scenes. I love this evil bitch. Great villain. No fucking around, just violence. Oh, fuck. Run, 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 run. Fuck you, Spider. Well, that was jacked. What's next? The boys show up for us to bounce back to the precinct. Daniel has some dirt for us. Looks like Clamp was the secret villain all along. Who could have seen that coming? We get back. We all take a walkie-talkie. Why didn't anybody give me this thing before? Fuck it, whatever. We split up, and the day is over. Day 4 ends. Day 5 starts weird. We start right at the map. 2 new places have opened up for us. The warehouses and Chinatown. The warehouses are a trap. They will bend you over and call you dirty names if you go there now. Wait on it. We're going to Chinatown. This place is the second worst area in the game, not the town itself. After a small walk, we find Maeda. He's discovered a mess leading into the sewer, takes yet another slot from us, and we enter the second worst area in the game. This shithole is full of these things. They blind you, you can barely avoid them. It's shit, fuck this place, moving on. We end up in a large open area and see the remnants of the Central Park audience. Get that shit out with the pumps. And we leave the sewers and lead straight out to the subways. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Boss fight time. This time we have an oversized centipede. Launches projectiles into the air, tries to bitch slap. Odd Pokemon attack sometimes. After enough damage, it turns into a 4-on-1. Just keep on shooting. Never stop shooting. Getting out, we see that the blob is heading for the museum. And so are we. Right after we swap the disc. It's a bit jarring for it to be right there, but okay, I'm not the designer. Although instead of going to the museum, I recommend a sidetrack. Let's go to those warehouses. When we get there, there's a cop acting real sketchy. He tells us Eve's inside and then fucks off, damn near leaves his pup behind. This place would have been a death sentence if we had shown up when it became available. Enemies hit like trucks made of nukes. On the plus note, each enemy does give us 30 bullets. Peaches appreciates the hell out of this. There are some good weapons and equipment in here too. We get to the bottom of this place for the epic, almighty crap battle. That's not a joke. This dude is a fuck. He ate all the rare candies. He buffed his speed way the fuck out there. Your reward for this bullshit? An AT-4 rocket launcher. It's slow, but it's useful for blasting multiple targets at once. Now, we trek our way back. That's it. No story thing here. Feels really out of place. Or maybe this was supposed to have more to it, but with the 2-year development time, including the pre-planning, there just wasn't enough time to do more. Okay, now let's head to the museum. We enter and we see somebody walking away. Whatever. Yet again, we're left to a fairly big area to explore and find our way around. All the stairs are blocked because security's been activated. It's always fucking something. So, turn off security. We should hit Dickbag's office while we're here. All over the museum are these doobly-doos. These quiz you over stuff the game has already thrown your way, and will reward you if you were paying attention. Keep them in mind. Some of the stuff they're carrying might come in handy. Down the way, we meet this prick. He's blocking our path for about 45 seconds. Moving on. Now we have dinosaurs. Fuck, I see where this is going. I like how even Aya is confused how she just fought dinosaurs. Yet another fucking ambush. Peaches. Please don't ever leave me. Out the fire escape takes us to even more prehistoric extermination that needs, no, demands to be fulfilled. Is that a fucking pterodactyl? This game is awesome. Eventually, we enter a room, and the door locks behind us. Motherfucker got the drop on us. Only way out's through the window. Dropping down to the level below, we're right outside Dickbag's office. However, security's also still on. We're not too far away from it either, so let's go do that first. We turn security off and take a peek at the monitors. Well, look who it is. Where is that bitch? 4th floor, here we come. But most importantly in this room, the last piece. Meet Peaches. 7 rounds per turn. Quick draw. Ready to go when the fight starts. Tranquilizes enemies and covers them in acid. It's wonderful. Even if it's immune to the status effects, who cares? 7 rounds per turn? Keep shooting, it will give up. We head out of security and... Fuck, we're gonna have to fight that thing later. At Clamp's office. Looks like he's in there. We finally got the jump on the mother... No, we don't. It's our boy in blue. He brought us a gun that works on Eve and her monsters. I never use it. He also lays some heavy shit on us. Turns out Clamp has been messing with our sister cells for years. It's where Eve originally came from. Why? I don't know, I'm not the person to ask. Turns out he's been working on the perfect baby gravy for the spooky one. Why? Why does he keep showing up like that? The fuck taunts us, nearly gets a scalpel in our necks before we're saved by the big man. Damn, that was a good hit. In the manner we've come to expect from this douche, he gives us his supervillain plan before asking Eve to team kill him. Dumbass. Snag a key from his corpse and roll out. Locked door on the 3rd floor finds us in another arena. This time with a skinless Triceratops. This dude does not play games. Charging around. After enough damage, it goes apeshit. Much faster, much more aggressive. Electric death. The AT-4 isn't a bad choice for removing its head. It counts as multiple targets. Fight over. We can head... Oh, you son of a bitch! We're back on the ground. Couple of chests in front of us. That's not usually a good sign. We get to fight a fucking T-Rex. Dude swipes at you, breathes fire. At this point in the game, we have access to Liberate. This ability turns us into a fucking Final Fantasy summon. Overpowered. Ridiculous. Perfect for the bullshit that's coming. Head back to the Triceratops room. We head to see Eve yet again. That baby bump is really starting to show hard. She gives us shit one more time, and this turns into a kaiju movie. The game switches speeds yet again. Here on, we're going to be doing a lot of reading. Starters. Melissa had gotten Aya's sister's kidney. That's how Eve had gotten in the first place. Clamp had been there since the original operation, and even back then they knew something was fucky because the kidney was hot. He had been feeding Melissa immunosuppressants to get Eve to take over faster. So by the opera, the deed was done. The host was cooked, and we have Eve. Looks like the government's done fucking around and sends in an attack force to go and... Yep, this is a kaiju movie. Helicopter touches down to pick us up. How did they know where we were? Too many questions. We are tasked with flying a helicopter and shooting a nuke close range because we can't be burned. Okay, I have even more questions. And here is probably the one stupid plot point of the game. It's a nuke. Launch that shit from orbit or a sub. I don't know. Just, are you kidding me? Two, I just watched a bunch of helicopters get blown out of the sky. Why would mine be different? They just wanted an action set piece, and you know what? That's fine. Of course, it wasn't enough, and we need to get down there and handle it ourselves. Eve gives us the last piece of exposition she's ever gonna give, and we have a nice old-fashioned boss battle. She has 3 targets and 4 attacks. Bastard balls, pain needles, scythe backdoor defense system, and fuck you grab. Haste and Liberate will be our best friends for this fight. Phase 2 is the Final Fantasy boss. Same deal. love these cutscenes. We're on day 6 now, looking at what's left of Liberty Island. We killed Eve. Now what? Daniel wants to be left alone. Wayne's here. May as well give him all the shit we're not using. He also lets us name the weapon and armor we have equipped. That's weird. And there's a guy who will give us supplies. And a save point. I'm no fortune teller, but some shit's about to go down. Fucking called it. We were too late. Meet the ultimate being. The infant is, well, an infant. It's not really a threat. Then it evolves into this fucking thing. It moves the speed of pain. After enough damage, it splits into 2. Focus on the crawly prick. Phase 3 hits, and this dude. Fuck him. Hit him with Liberate and all the fire you can muster. Eventually, it'll evolve one more time. Now, we can't even hurt it. Well, we're fucked. Wait. What's that? Dallas, you son of a bitch! This bad motherfucker jumps out of a helicopter, caught fire, to throw us the magazine to win the day. Fuck. Okay, new plan. Blow up the ship. Dallas is okay. That mustache kept him safe. One last exposition dump. Aya had gotten an implant from her sister as well. Her right cornea. Her mitochondria evolved differently. Simple as that. After everything, Ben, Daniel, Maeda, and Aya go to see the opera that started all of this hell in the first place. Final cutscene showing that all this shit could happen all over again. The means that made it happen are inside of everybody. Here we get to actually a pretty cool part of Parasite Eve. Once you complete the game, you get a New Game Plus mode, called EX mode. And it's not your typical New Game Plus mode. You start back out at level 1. All encounters and bosses are much tougher. But you remember when Wayne saw us the last time on the ship? He let us dump everything. So everything that we dumped, he would still have, except for the SP items. The weapon and armor that we were allowed to name, we also got to keep. Ah. Yeah, that could be a problem. So, aside from going through the game again, is there anything else? There's the Chrysler Building. 77 floors of mazy hell, broken up every 10 floors by a boss fight. But this is also where the best loot in the game lives. You get access to this at the beginning of day 2, when you're supposed to go and question Clamp at the museum. However, if we go now, we're gonna get our cheeks clapped. The best time to hit this is right after the T-Rex fight. Yes. Basically the entire game again. There is a good reason to do it, but before we even get to the Chrysler Building, we got all this shit to go through again. The first thing I had to change, I had to put Peaches away. The early ammo drops just starved her. The bump up in difficulty was appreciated considering how easy the main playthrough seemed to me. Then day 4 hit, and I caught my first taste of the AI differences between playthroughs. The spider boss fight, first time, not too big a deal. The second time around, it felt like the game was intentionally fucking with me, and for survival horror, I like this. That's perfect. I want it to feel like the game is better than me. I want it to feel like the monster is better than me, and I got lucky. It gets real close to screwing this up. The feeling of input reading and specifically nailing the attack right where I'm gonna be and when I'm gonna be started getting annoying. But given the tone, I'm fine with it. The scaling is one thing that is a bit odd. Some of the damage you're expected to take is insane. And with the areas, the second playthrough starts showing the flaws a little harder and a little bit more. After a fairly fun, but slightly frustrating second playthrough, and building myself Peaches 2.0, 7 rounds, quick draw, tranquilizer, I traded the acid for 2 commands per turn. Now we head for the Chrysler Building. This place is basically the mega dungeon of the game. Some of the meanest scaling of the game can be found here, and we'll get more into what I'm talking about as we go through. The rare weapon trading cards can also be found here. Those trading cards I talked about earlier. You give one to Wayne, he will give you 2 upgrades for the price of 1 card. If you get all 14 cards, he will give you a kit with infinite super tools. The first 30 floors are a snooze. So much so that I actually forgot to record them. Floor 40, we see a returning friend. The Triceratops. Jesus, he hurts like hell. The running theme of the Chrysler Building is there are no rules and the numbers don't mean anything. Floor 50 is a boss fight with a giant cockroach. I'm actually surprised that it took this long. It turns into a 2-on-1 real fast, and again, way too much damage. Why? I see no reason for him to hit so fucking hard. Speaking of hard, floor 60. Crab battle, round 2. Now faster, hits so much harder. Fuck you. During all of this, I really only had one mission. And that was making Peaches viable again. I tried my damnedest. By the end, this was the last Peaches. 10 rounds, 2 commands, quick draw, trank. One complaint that I can level at the game is it gives you various types of weapons to play with. However, with how combat flows, using anything other than just a handgun is inefficient, and it feels pretty shitty to waste 2 full playthroughs making a weapon that I couldn't use. So given the game wants to tell you how to use the weapons, and it decided to kneecap me most of the way up here, I made this. I call her Cinnamon. Small and spicy. That's the cyanide. From floor 61 on, the game is really trying to ream us. Really trying to ram it home. However, Cinnamon has words for these gentlemen. Floor 70. Okay, this is getting fucked. The math on this fucking thing is stupid. 12,000 HP, level 74, you can't even get to level 40 yourself without seriously grinding this game. And then this attack. Who thought this was okay? If it wasn't for the fact that your bud Nerf here is a brain damage moron and got lost for a fucking hour, caught a level up and dumped everything into defense, yeah, no. The game relies on you getting the most out of the BP system, but for the sake of entertainment, I tried to limit my use of it. I did my damnedest to not abuse the system. It becomes way too easy with the bonus point system to either become a glass cannon or become a turtle where nothing can hurt you. It is still an RPG, it's a numbers game. This shit is real easy to do. I do really like the mix of survival horror and RPG, but certain design decisions just feel odd. It keeps it from greatness in either genre. It keeps it from greatness in either survival horror or RPG. It's a great game, but the genre's already got great representations on both sides. So Parasite Eve just kind of falls through the cracks when people talk about the PS1 survival horror gems. The home stretch of the Chrysler Building is actually pretty off-putting. No fights, no chests, no music, just 6 floors. The rooms are tiny. The only thing of note is the ooze. Gets thicker and thicker the higher we go up. At the top, we walk into the nest from Aliens, and pops open this thing, and out pops Aya's sister? Kinda. This is the OG. The Eve before it took over Melissa's body. It stayed alive through the liver cells left behind. Was growing a new body? That's pretty fucked. She came here to nest in case Miss Pyrotechnics and the infant screwed the pooch. And honestly, that is pretty awesome. A bad guy with a backup plan that actually makes sense. She messes with our heads, and we start the hardest fight in the game. So, we're fighting our Liberate form. And holy hell, this is not a fight, this is a masochistic tango. This teleport is jacked. If you're moving, expect it to pop in front of you. She will call a copy of Maya to do a status ailment to you. If you are doing any damage to her, another copy will heal Eve. Awesome. After enough damage, she slams into you. You cannot avoid it, and it drops you down to 1 HP. Then she teleport attacks you. 2 strikes now. Eventually, that charge that she did becomes constant. This fight is an exercise in patience and intelligence, 2 things that I do not have. So, a half hour, 361 bullets and enough THC to sedate a moose later, she fades. Aya tries to take a moment for herself, hears a voice inside her head. Eve is a villain who's got willpower, I'll give her that much. Maya's voice comes in, shuts that shit down. It is a really cute scene, but I'm not gonna lie, for the amount of bullshit I went through to go see it, it didn't feel like much of a payoff. It didn't feel like much of an ending. If I had to pick between the two, I'd say the main ending for the main playthrough had a better payoff. This is a great game, and only slightly marred by a few odd choices. The weapon balance takes a little freedom away. Some abilities feel superfluous. I did not use half the abilities in the game, period. But I argue that part of the reason that these games appeal isn't how they feel, it's the stories they tell. Silent Hill 1. Harry Mason's looking for his daughter. That is a clunky fucking game, but it is a fantastic story that is absolutely worth looking past any bit of frustration you would ever have playing it. Resident Evil. Special Forces units stuck inside a mansion. Sure, a better feeling game to play maybe, but you don't play it because of how sharp the game feels. You play it because you want to hear about the stories of Umbrella doing some sketchy shit. Parasite Eve sits with these games on its own merits. Sure, it did stuff a little bit different, but the story that it told and how it told it, I would say is definitely worth looking past those flaws and getting into it. One word of warning though. I am an old man, so playing a game for 40 plus hours with no voice acting doesn't faze me in the slightest. I can read that all day long. I understand that that can turn some people off. This is a wordy fuck of a game, so if you're not gonna read or don't like reading, I would not bother. Holy fuck, this took me forever. I have no idea what I'm doing next. I'm honestly easily distracted by shiny things, so you're just gonna have to wait and see what comes next, guys. Later.